Hi guys, slightly different video for you all today. In my opinion, turning 17 was the best age ever really. What that legally allowed you to do was to drive a car in the UK. And what that meant was no more walking in the rain, no public transport, and basically not taking you half a day to get to wherever you wanted to go. But before you could do that, you had to pass a test first. Now, I am a racing instructor, as you can tell. However, that doesn't make me a qualified driving instructor, and I can't stress enough that there's no real substitute for one of those when it comes to learning how to drive. So without much further ado, let's get into it. The first tip, mirrors. That's just a key word really that you need to drum into yourself. When I took my test, I passed first time, but I got 2 minors, both for the same thing, and if I'm still correct, if you get three faults of the same thing, that's a fail. So, I was right on the edge with that. Now, to actually check your mirrors, it doesn't require much head movement at all, but when you've got an examiner sat next to you, you need to over-exaggerate these movements. So when you're checking your left-hand side mirror, physically, turn your head so that you're making it obvious that you're doing it. Same for the rear view, tilt your head up, and then for the right-hand side mirror, yes, tilt to the right. Your driving instructor should tell you all the various occasions that you need to check your mirrors. I won't bother going through that with you. And just in general, even when you've passed your test, it's always good to make a habit of looking in your mirrors, and eventually it'll almost become like second nature. Don't do it every 5-10 seconds. Do it when you need to, for the examiner, and then I think it's just a good habit to do it once every, I don't know, not 30 seconds, between 30 seconds and 1 minute. As you get more experience driving, you'll find yourself doing it naturally. The second tip is hill starts. Now, I'm not on a hill right now, but I'll try and explain as best as I can. The key to doing a hill start is basically your clutch control and how good you are with your biting point really. If you don't know what your biting point is and you're taking lessons, I recommend you get a different instructor. If you're struggling in general with clutch control, know what kind of car you're in, because a diesel is actually much easier to set off in than a petrol car, because a diesel engine has more torque, and you'll notice that make a diesel start rolling without any throttle applied whatsoever. You can just do it on the clutch, whereas in a petrol car you need to give it a bit of gas. I'm in the Mini right now, and it's petrol, so I will need to use a bit of gas. So you're at a standstill, handbrake on. What you do, clutch all the way into gear. Now, to try and practice your clutch control, you don't need to be on a hill to begin with. You can just do it on a flat surface, and what I'd recommend you practice doing is, first of all, be aware of where your biting point is. You'll be able to hear a change in the engine noise, whether it picks up on camera or not. I'm not too sure, but mine's right about there. And then what you do, just apply a little bit more gas, more than you'd usually do for starting on a flat surface, and at that point put the handbrake down, and you shouldn't roll back. And as you feed off the biting point, you just start applying more gas. A tip for helping you find the biting point and staying at it is, basically, when you find it, or as you get close to finding it, just rest your heel on the mat basically, and that gives you a lot more control and stability. You're in a diesel car, I think it's easier to practice clutch control because you won't need any gas at all, and you can just basically practice engaging the clutch and setting off, and then keep practicing that until you're 100% comfortable. And just remember that you won't be penalised for using too much throttle, but if you stall, do you get a minor for that? Probably. Better safe than sorry, use a bit more gas. The third tip, this one is your surroundings. When it comes to actually sitting your actual test, You know, it's normal to be nervous, and that can sometimes get the better of people. One thing a lot of new drivers will do is they'll almost focus too much on their own driving. You know, are they using the pedals correctly? And what they'll forget to do is, you know, you've got to be aware of your surroundings. And more often than not, when it comes to errors on the road, it won't be your driving that'll be at fault, it's other people. You know, the test is all about making the examiner feel comfortable and safe above everything else. Cars pulling out of junctions, if you're on a dual carriageway when cars might just pull out without indicating or erratically, they're all things that, you know, they're not strictly your fault, but you will be marked down for it because you either didn't respond quick enough or you responded in the wrong way. And it's just important to make sure that you're on top of all of that. Tip number 4. This is for reversing around the corner, and you could probably apply it to the other manoeuvres. Now, your instructor may or may not have told you to do this. I find it's quite useful. So if you're reversing around a corner, to basically do it bang on perfect, what I'd suggest you doing is your left hand side mirror, to drop it down, and the engine needs to be on. I've never had to do it in this car. There we go. Right. Drop it down so that you can see most of, you know, the ground, and you should be able to then figure out where your rear wheel is. What that enables you to do is to keep, you know, a nice distance from the curb all the way around. Then it's just a case of, you know, turning at the right point when you're actually going around the bend. That just comes with practice, really. But just remember to actually lift your mirror back up when you're setting off. When it comes to the real world, would you do that? Probably not, but for the sake of passing your test, it's just, you know, you want everything to be as near perfect as you can. My final tip for you guys is practice. You know, you've all heard the phrase practice makes perfect, and it's the same in this situation when it comes to learning to drive. You can watch all these videos, learn online, whatever, but there's no substitute for getting out and practicing the things that you're not too comfortable with, or areas that you just want more experience in. One thing that I would suggest is to practice with, you know, a family member or a friend that's, first of all, over the age of 21, has held a driving license for over 3 years, and obviously you need to be insured on the car. And also make sure you've got a set of learner plates for the front and rear. On quiet roads, even empty car parks, and just practice things like your clutch control manoeuvres. If you're in a car park, might as well practice parking as well. And I'd recommend that because, you know, at the end of the day, driving lessons can be quite expensive. I think the average in this area is probably between £18 and £22 per lesson, and, you know, if you think you're going to need over 30 lessons, that's, you know, you think you can do the maths there, that's going to be quite expensive. Whereas practicing with your mum or your dad is free. I hope it's free. If you guys thought this video was useful to you or to someone else, you know, give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more videos like this in the future, comment down below and subscribe for future videos. Thanks for watching.